Well, I can definitely tell you that's not the prettiest. That's okay. Talking about me. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Maturity Project. I am your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears. Not sure how well this microphone's going to work for us, so let's find out. Today's conversation I'm going to have with you here pretty briefly is, you know what? I'm going to adjust this here. Give me a second while I rearrange something. There we go. Well, there we go. That's actually nicer, isn't it? All right. Well, I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears, and or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. If you know, you know. And well, today's conversation on the Maturity Project will be a pretty quick one, but I've got to retitle the video here. But it's 5 easy steps. Actually, it's 5 simple steps for improving your relationships. So everything seems to be like you just got to put it into these packages in order to get people to actually get it. And I understand it. You can't have something too undefined, if you will. You sit there and talk about relationships all day long, but if you don't put it into some sort of categorical values, it's just hard for people to really wrap their mind around it or get something to work with. So you'll see more and more of these videos coming out with the simplicities that we do typically see in a lot of these different videos that have become effective, because it's really giving people something to work from. So the 5 easy steps on this. First off, we need to figure out a few things, okay? If you don't have a radar right now set up that helps you, and when I say radar, I mean something that you can feel, something you can recognize is a bit of a challenge. Something you can say, my pulse raised there, or my emotions shifted here. I got frustrated there. Something along those lines. If you don't have something to recognize as a note, as something noteworthy, it's going to be really hard to do anything with it. You're in that. It's ignorance is bliss until the consequences become apparent. So I've always cringed at that idea. Ignorance is bliss. I'm like, the hell it is. Ignorance is bliss to the person that's manipulating or controlling the situation. Now, that does not mean that there's always somebody doing that. But when there is, that's who has the bliss, not the person that is ignorant to something going on, because your ignorance is bliss until the awareness of the consequences. Then it's no longer blissful. Then you've got all of that gap of information that you got to pay for. You got to pay the penance to it. So now here we are. We're going to talk about the relationship thing because this is so damn common. It's all over the place. Everybody's got a relationship challenge pretty much. Social media is drowning with these people that just can't keep their relationships off social media. They either get on there and they have to show the world how great everything is, which is beautiful. We love to see the good stuff. We absolutely do. But you have to be aware who's swimming in the wake of that. You've got people that are just out there and they're kind of predatory. Now, it's not saying that they're doing it intentionally. They're not necessarily masterminds and manipulators and things like that. They're just trying to fill their needs. They're trying to fill their wants. A lot of the people that are in that category that are just trying to fill their needs or their wants are simply the people that just don't even have that awareness on the radar what the challenges actually are. And they're going around like Miley Cyrus with the wrecking ball thing, just slamming into other people and just expecting that they'll slam into the right person and, no pun intended, and end up having, their life fixed. And they're trying to get with somebody who's just going to remedy their challenges, but it's not remedy their challenges with them as much as it is do it for them. And there's a very specific distinction there. If you're going to have somebody who remedies your challenges with you, they're working with you like a kind of almost like a mentor-mentee type thing. They want you to see how they are successful in that area that you are deficient in and that you want to develop in, and they're willing to work with you on it. That's working with them. If they're doing it for you, then you just sit back. I am comfy here. Do the work for me. Go ahead. Here's the challenge: you become dependent on that person, and then it becomes a relationship of need, not want. And relationships of need become stressful and challenging because those relationships are strained based off the need that's associated with that relationship. You do this for me or else, man, or I need you to do that or I'm going to take something away. It creates the potential for what is referred to in Paul Chek's education as sex and violence, which is not necessarily domestic violence kind of thing, but sometimes, yeah, that happens. But it's a violent relationship in the sense of consistent turmoil. So if you don't have that clarity about your radar, you are likely going to be running around bouncing into people like, again, the Miley Cyrus example. Just wrecking ball, coming in, slamming into something, and then destroying shit. But you don't see what you're doing as destructive. You only take in the casualty of your own resources or assets and say that that's where the challenge is whenever you realize what damage was done on you, not what you did to the other person. That's the bullshit bliss model. It's by far not desirable. So put something on the radar. Once you know it's on the radar, hey, you got something you can start looking for. The radar is just simply, I feel something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel something. Let me start really putting in a focus here to start understanding through introspection or close group proximity of what exactly is going on in my life, in my relationships, that I can actually put a distinction to, a definition. Because that's the next step, is you have to define what it is. If you feel uneasy whenever you're sharing something specific to another person, perhaps you don't want them to fully understand you or fully get you, but you cry to be understood. But you just can't get there because you're afraid that the person may abuse that information and use it against you or something along those lines. I'm not saying this is an exclusive example. It is just an example. You have to put a definition to something. I am deathly afraid of rejection. Well, if you're afraid of rejection, what values are you bringing to that relationship? What have you done? And that's part of this next one here, very soon. What have you done to develop yourself? If you're looking for the one, you're looking in the wrong places. Walk to your bathroom or wherever the closest mirror is, look directly in that, and you found the one, because that's the one that needs to be developed. But you can't develop it unless you can define what the challenges are in order to get there. First, you're going to need to have that sensation. Something's not right here. That's the radar. Then you put a specific dot on it that you can actually start honing in on, and that's where you create the definition to it. So now you've got something here of value. What do you bring to the table for the other person when you start dating? If you aren't working on yourself and you're a happenstance of life, and that's the accumulation of all the different things that actually make you who you are, but it's all through randomized chance and then the path that you've chosen to be on, but yet still chance still has a very large value in that. Well, you're bringing things that can be highly disorganized. And a lot of the times you are already perfectly set as you are. You just don't know how to organize all of your skill sets that you currently have to be more effective. So you've got stuff over here you never bring into the relationship, or you bring into your reality of function until it's demanded to be there. But then you drop off on this other side for something that you have been using, but you settled it down and you let down the guard or whatever it is. We use a lot of different terminologies when we want to value that particular type of situation or that particular skill set that you've shifted to. So we make all kinds of declarations about who we are, and we try to hold that as, this trait is who I am. Well, when you start shifting around different traits, people know you for that strength that you have, the thing that you are proud to be behind, or that you get the right level of return on the investment put forward based off of those traits, the skills that you have. So you're like, hey, you're going to like me because I'm funny. You know what really sucks for somebody who's funny? It fucking sucks. And that is whenever you really need to be sad. And people don't know how to handle you, and you don't know how to handle you if you've built your world around being funny. Because sometimes you just don't want to be funny. It gets tiring, and you want to just be you. The problem is it's not easy to be you because you've taught everybody else to expect you to be funny. So what do you bring to the table? If somebody's bringing finance to the table, do you meet them with an equal level of maturity in finance? Probably not, but that's where the healthier relationships are. You don't need to meet them initially and be, hey, I'm great at finance and you need to be too. Partnership is about growth. And a lot of us don't know how to grow together. We're like, what can you do for me? We treat relationships like jobs, not careers, jobs. I'll date you to fix my life. A career is I'm growing with you and I'm going to make this thing into one hell of a ride. You're going to fix this thing, like get me my paycheck. Or let's grow together, baby. Let's do this thing. We got opportunities ahead of us. Which one are you on? Like what journey? So that has to do with what do you bring to the table? If you're going to bring that job mindset to the table, yeah, you'll do your duties and you'll expect your partner to do their duties. But the likelihood is you're not going to grow a lot. You might, but you're increasing the chances of failure because you start putting debts on the other person to do the thing that you have not even necessarily told them that you expect to have in the relationship, because next to none of us communicate worth a fuck. They're like, oh God, yeah, I talk all the time. Yeah, you talk at people. Communication is much different. So what do you bring to the table? Well, what will you work on? Now, if your partner brings the financial again to the table, what the hell do you bring that actually is going to have an exchange value that has them go, worth it, worth it? Is it the aesthetics? Is it that you're pretty or that you're good looking of some sort? Is it that you're charming, or you have some sort of seductive value? I can't tell you how many people complain about their strengths. All men want is sex. Well, what are you doing? How are you attracting them? Now, that doesn't mean like you yourself, because you might actually be somebody who's fairly conservative in the way that you show off your body, so you don't necessarily flaunt it. But the environment that we're in is doing that. So, of course, people are going to have that as a default state, because that's just continuing to keep up with the economy. It's the economy of relationships, not the economy of finance and business, but the economy of relationships. They're just keeping up. And you got to interrupt stuff. And the best way to interrupt stuff is to get into situations where you figure out what you bring to the table and what you're willing to work on. Don't expect somebody else to be the one. You be the one, and somebody else will come along that sees and values that about you. And if they're inspired to grow and work on themselves, you guys can develop the career version of a relationship. You'll work through it all. And even if it doesn't have the end destination being that you hold hands until you take your last breath in the nursing home or whatever the hell it is that becomes the not so romantic outcome, but yet some sort of, it has to have a destination. Can't just be Hallmark and all of a sudden the TV turns off. There's somewhere you're going in the relationship if you're on a career path. If you're not on a career path and you're just on the job path, hey, give me my paycheck, give me the resources that you bring to this, and here's some of mine. Whereas playing some sort of exchange game, bartering, if you will, of a relationship. Those people, they don't even think past last month, really, other than I need these resources available. Even if it is the resource of sex or the resource of affection, it's the other things. Like I love the person I'm with, but what truly is love by your own definition? Most of you don't even know that. And it's not necessarily like I'm making you wrong or bad about it. It's just when I ask the question, define love, because if you want to find it, you got to define it. Don't expect Lady and the Tramp's moment where you're sucking on a freaking piece of pasta and you kiss each other. And then all of a sudden, wow, I'm in love. You look for the things that truly will help create more value to your character the other person can experience. And also you can help drive and draw those areas and aspects out of the other person. Why is it we fall in love with the idea when somebody says, you make me a better person, or we make us better people? That's more of a career thing. It's where you're working towards something and developing something with real intention. Now, the other is committing to the future. So few people actually have this. They don't know how to commit to a future, but you need to line these other things up to it, because the other commitment to the future is just that, yeah, you're going to suffer with me. We're going to ride this thing out. You're going to be my ride or die. Yeah. You know what? Here's a mask. We're going to run to the bank real quick and get some cash. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, do we have to have this constant Bonnie and Clyde idea of romance? If you need that kind of spontaneous reaction in life or spontaneity, you can be that person. Stop looking for other people to be it. Become spontaneous yourself. Oh, God, I need to make a video on that alone. But anyway, you can do this stuff. It's actually, if any other human being has this trait in their life that's alive on this planet, you have the capacity to get there yourself. The only time there's exclusions to that is if there's a specific attribute that they have a genetic predisposition to be better at, and they'll get the support and all the rest of the stuff that just make them the natural Olympic athlete level person. But those are actually not very common by comparison to what is common. Most of what we see when it comes to people being like extraordinary is we're looking at practice, dedication, discipline, hard work, and just learning how to take the horror of life or the challenges of life and turn it into a game that you actually start to feel that there's a way to win. But that's constantly searching for how do you get the best traction in that particular game. So committing to the future is, I am with you in this, and this is what I'm committed to working on and developing within myself, because I realize where my shortcomings are and I'm dedicated to working on it. And you are dedicated to working on what you're dedicated to working on, which they will tell you. Cannot tell them. Do not tell them what they're dedicated to. You're just an asshole. Even if it's out of love, because it's still not necessarily what they're going to experience, or will their support system accept that that's actually out of love. Now, you have to understand support systems are still important when it comes to relationships. It's not just you and that person. It's other people are involved, because that helps keep have a healthy level of independence that you really do need your relationship to be based in, because an independent or the dependent individuals become like significantly draining to you, and or you become draining to them if you're the needy one or the one that actually is dependent. Become independent. You will have the want relationships versus the needs. Now, if you're in a need relationship right now, take these steps. Go through them, work your way through that. You can become another person right now in that relationship. It's just not always easy because the other person expects you to continue to be who you are. You can enroll them, and that's another conversation for another day. But the point of it is that you have opportunity, you have freedom. You can do something with this life, and you can do something with these relationships. You can become the person that you are so desperate to find and date. If you want to find that person, become that person. They'll show up. They will. You'll have other people that show up along the way, and they're going to teach you lessons, and let those lessons fortify you and galvanize you into your direction. This is not an overnight thing. It's not. It's little ahas that add to the heap of sand before you know it. Your life is different. You can change your life. God, you can change your life. But you just have to, most of us just need to have somebody to guide us in the direction of change. Most of us live life this way, and I'll close on this. Most of us live life this way. It's like, you know what? You get a job, but nobody trains you on how to do it. They give you a mop bucket. They give you some solution. There's a water hose. You can start piecing things together. They don't tell you what to do. They don't tell you how to mix it. They don't tell you any of this stuff. So we don't have a lot of direction. We don't have guidance. We don't have mentorship outside of our parents. And none of our parents are going to tell us everything that we need to know about life. They're trying, but they also are caught up with everything else they have going on. So the outcome is that you get a diluted version of who your parents are, is who you become. Now, it's not a bad thing. It's just a thing that's very common. You typically do not become a carbon copy of your parents. That takes incredible work from your parents in order to train and develop you that way when they raise you to become a carbon copy of who they are. And even that, you're not going to be a carbon copy. You're going to be very close to it if they put in the right amount of effort and they have the capacity to do it. And I'm not downing anybody who can't do it. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is that that's just actually what you can get to, as far as you could put that kind of work in. But what we do is we get given this job and no one gets its direction. So you got to figure shit out on your own. Well, as you're figuring stuff out, you're just like, I don't know what the hell to do here. But hey, if I take this mop and I get this solution and I put it over here, and then I start getting these spots on the floor, these things come up. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. And you're actually in the right direction. You just may not have used the right amount, right? You may have used way too much solution, not enough water, or no water at all, whatever. You've just got something that you're figuring out. And then trial and tribulation will teach you something different. Does not mean that at the end of the day, you did it the most effective way. You just did it the way that actually made enough sense to you that it was able to be completed, or completed to what you believe completed is, because you don't even know what completion is yet, because nobody's training you in this thing called life. You get some people that offer you direction, but you don't understand. If they don't know where you're at, it's very hard for them to give you direction. Now, they can give you how to get someplace based off of their own experiences, and then you have to modify yourself in order to get there, which is perfectly fine, standard education values. But if they don't come to where you are and figure out how to help you develop the skills necessary in order to be able to truly see that path, then they're not really able to guide you the best. That's why you'll have, attrition in education, so people fall off. So for me, it's like, we can get better at this. We got to work on it. So you're given a job, that's life, and you have no one to give you guidance and direction. The maturity project is all about guidance and direction. It's figuring things out, but I cannot tell you how to do it unless I actually connect with you enough to get there. But what I can do is talk about the way that life happens and the way that I think in such a dynamic way by giving you the 8 different areas of maturity, and then giving different examples and different scenarios of life and how those actually work out and what kind of combinations of maturity people are dealing with. You can be incredibly ultra wealthy and have nothing but chaos in your relationships. And your intimate relationships, you got significant partners with children, you got all this stuff going on, but you're not there. You're successful in money and nobody's going to take that away from you. You're successful in business, maybe nobody's going to take that away from you, but you're not satisfied. You're not happy. Plenty of successful people off themselves. It sucks. Plenty of successful people do nothing but cause chaos in other people's lives because that's just what they can do. They have it. They have the ability. Nobody's telling them otherwise because they hide behind that success. So, all right, a lot more to talk about, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. Guidance is in the 8 areas of maturity. You can get through this. If you use the 8 different areas of maturity and you work this into your relationship direction, you will find significant and robust rewards through this thing. You'll have significant dividends paid out. And become that extraordinary person that everybody seems to want to date. So until next time, I am your host. It's Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. If you know, this back here is Christian Bale. A friend of mine painted that for me. It's an ex-girlfriend. She's amazing. So thank you very much, Leah, for that. This is the Maturity Project. She was around for that too. Actually, she's fantastic and still is. Now, look. The world's asking for us to get our shit together, really. It's calling to us, but we got to work on ourselves before we start going out and making the changes in the world. Otherwise, we're very likely to create the same chaos as what we're trying to create a solution to. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. Right now, our society seems to be making a super highway to get us there. All right, join with me in this process. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video with somebody in your life you want to break the ice with. That is a great way to get things started. Make a meaningful conversation today. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. Don't wait. Do it. Get active. All right, until next time, guys and gals, let's get to it. This is what we got, man. Let's do this together. All right, until next time. See ya.